friends.
Good morning.
We are on White Beach out here in Boracay. It's pretty bright out still, so that's kind of why we're squinting a bit. We finally get to see beautiful waters. It's a little bit cloudy, like cloudy overcast today, but you can still tell that the water's very blue. So it's not because of the sky, but I think because the water itself is just blue.
It's surprising actually how blue it is given that it's pretty cloudy. We are so impressed. White Beach is super long. We think it extends like the full length of the west side of the island, more or less. So it would take a long time to walk the entire distance of it. Today we're actually starting our journey at Willys Rock. It's one of the kind of photo op tourist spots along White Beach. And then we're going to explore a bunch of other spots on the island today via trike. All of the trikes on the island are actually e-trikes, so they're electric, which means that there's no exhaust or anything. It's probably better for the air too.
Yeah.
And it's our understanding that part of the environmental fee that you pay to get here goes towards things like that. This is Willys Rock and it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's like a little staircase. You will get wet if you try to go there, but that makes it kind of like a fun water obstacle in a way.
Yeah.
You do see a religious figure.
I think it's Mother Mary.
Okay, that's probably part of the lore behind Willys Rock. We're not entirely sure, but it is very pretty, and it's a cluster of rocks just off the beach. We're gonna try and get the kansi and then a fruit shake and frozen calamansi if there's no milk in this. If this isn't enough for one person, we might also get a pa'a or pecho. Here it is. We have rice, kansi, calamansi, mango, actual calamansi, peppers. We have a question for the viewers. Leave a comment if you know, but the calamansi here in the Visayas region seems bigger. I don't know if that's literally just right now in this moment, but every time we were in Manila and we had literal calamansi to squeeze, it was a fraction of this size. I don't know if that's just because we're here in Boracay or not.
No.
Yeah.
This is the mango shake. I'm just drinking liquid mango. This is very fresh. Wow.
So delicious. I think I personally have a preference for fresh mango because I've had more artificially flavored mango flavor, like the sweet syrups they put in drinks. I don't like that as much, but I really love like a fresh mango flavor.
And then this is the calamansi shake. It's very sour. The calamansi juice as a shake. Very delicious, very fresh.
It's nicey sour. Such a good drink. Such a good drink.
Here's my bite of kansi.
It's that sour flavor that I love in a sabaw and a broth. This is why I love Filipino food, especially the broths. They're so hearty, but a little bit of sour, and then also a nice amount of salt and oil, but not overwhelming or overpowering. It's like really well balanced. I really enjoy this.
I saw this description that kansi can kind of be thought of as like bulalo sinigang. It's a pretty accurate description because it is sour, but you have the bone marrow bone thing and then beef. It is so delicious, very simple. It's literally just beef and sabaw, but it's like one of my favorite dishes to have here. So delicious.
We pretty easily flagged down an e-trike. On Boracay, it's very easy to do this. They're always driving around, even late into the night and early into the morning. And we learned that a lot of these e-trikes will offer a land tour, which is something that we had looked up online. We decided we wanted to do a sort of DIY version where we could decide which specific stops we wanted to visit as our own sort of land tour. But just know that there are land tour options no matter what e-trike you flag down.
We really appreciated that Boracay had so many e-trikes. Basically, the entire island trikes are all e-trikes, and that's because the island is very heavily visited, and so as a way to kind of keep the environment safe and sound and still beautiful, the e-trikes were implemented at some point.
We did pass the Boracay City Mall. It's one of the very few malls that are on the island. The island itself is both small and also not too small. It feels like there are a good number of amenities that it didn't feel super remote, but at the same time felt like a proper small island. island. Not to mention the fact that it's a beautiful island. There are a lot of stray animals on the island, but we have found that they've been pretty chill. So long as you are respectful with them, they don't seem very aggressive at all. Here we are walking towards Diniwid Beach.
It is a beach on the west side of the island. Definitely felt more like a locals beach because there weren't that many tourists when we were here, but definitely a locals party going on.
Immediately though, we could tell that this was a beautiful beach.
Luckily, the weather had cleared up from the morning, and so we were able to see just how blue the water and the sky was and how white the sand was as well.
There's something really magical about this island, specifically in the Philippines, because it has so many beautiful beaches in this one island alone. We started exploring sort of the south side of the beach. There was a pathway that you could walk along, and we didn't get too wet, even though it is sort of the season where the water on this side of the island is a bit choppier. We could still walk the path and enjoy the views.
It seems that at every beach on the island, you can see these rock and or nature formations, and there's still kind of a lot to explore at each beach. So we highly recommend checking out more than just one beach.
We imagine that if you catch it on the on season, this beach would also be much calmer. So you could probably swim here too. This part of the beach was much closer to Lambros Point, which is kind of like where Diniwid turns into White Beach, because it's all one long beach along the west side of the island, more or less. But you can see it's very choppy, so that was not something we were interested in walking along, just for safety and not getting our devices too wet. That being said, it was very, very pretty. After getting to Lambros Point, we turned around and walked back towards the main area of Diniwid Beach. This is the same pathway we took walking south, now walking back up north. The tree shade was really nice and it felt really special. Very magical the way the trees grow over the pathways and out into the water. Incredibly picturesque.
And then as we were heading a bit more north on the beach, we found this swing that was in between the two palm trees. And so of course, naturally, we wanted to sit on it and have a little fun on the beach.
It was so nice because it's a public beach, so we got to ride the swing. There wasn't that many people there on the beach, like you said earlier, so it was free and open for us.
But look how picturesque that is, because you get this swing and then your whole view is just the water, the ocean, the beach, all the beautiful colors together. That is like the most perfect way to swing.
This is the kind of stuff you see on postcards, the kind of experiences that are promised on Instagram, things like that. We felt very special and also very relaxed getting to have this experience.
And all this was also kind of just by chance. We didn't really plan much of this ahead of time, and so we didn't even know about Diniwid Beach or that there was a swing here or anything like that.
Let us know in the comments if you know about this, and honestly, if you don't, now you know, and we recommend it.
Found this random swing here on palm trees.
So fun!
After swinging, there was another pathway on more of the north side of the beach. It was kind of crumbled away though, so it's only if you feel safe and comfortable walking this direction. It was the direction of the West Cove ruins. We're not entirely sure what these ruins used to be and how much of them used to exist and how much have fallen into the water.
We also don't know at what point they became ruins, so maybe at one point they weren't ruined, but were actually a functional spot to go look at safely.
Maybe it speaks to the power of the waves on the off season, eroding away whatever buildings were here over time. If you feel up for it though, you can walk. There is a pathway and there are narrow stairs with no handrail or anything, so a bit more of an adventurous trek. Following the path, there were more parts of the ruins that would show up. A lot of it was also overgrown, so there was a lot of greenery. Still nothing to hold on to, but made for a pretty cool sight. There were many spots where the ruins would jut out into the water. It was eerily picturesque. Continuing on the path, you could see the foundations of some of the structures that made up whatever buildings that turned into these ruins, and it was really interesting seeing how the water would splash beneath it. This probably is a hangout spot at certain points for maybe the more adventurous types. There's probably a story connected to these ruins as well. It's interesting seeing the tiles kind of eroded and so close to the water. At a certain part of the path, there was this lookout point where you could see back out into Diniwid Beach. and out into the water. And then as you turn to the north side, there were even more ruins, and they looked incredibly interesting. Several different platforms jutting out of the water with some trees on them, some greenery on them. This alone made the trek out here worth it because this is such a unique site, not something you normally see every day. Not sure if people have walked out onto there or if the plants were put there by people, if those foundations were even stable to stand on, but you can see how much they've eroded over the years. Would love to see what they were before all the water got to it.
At this point in the day, we were easily able to find a driver still at Diniwid Beach, but they actually offered to kind of be our driver for more than just point A to point B. So from here, we were heading from Diniwid Beach to Cujos Keyhole, and because we were heading that way, the driver knew that that area was a bit harder to find trikes, so that's why he offered to drive us around that area.
This was something we didn't know in advance, but there is this sort of new coast area that is kind of blocked off from the rest of the island because it's where a lot of the more high-end condos and resorts are.
So a lot of why it's harder to find e-trikes up here is because it seems that most of the clientele in this area already kind of have like shuttles or drivers that are specialized for this area. So as far as e-trikes are concerned, they don't seem to frequent this area as much.
This area has golf courses and things like that, so it's a very different vibe from the rest of the island. But yeah, that's why we were so grateful that our driver offered to kind of drive us to other parts of the island and maybe wait for us while we finished out exploring Cujos Keyhole.
It was yet another unexpected gesture, but we did really appreciate it because we ended up needing to take him up on his offer. So here we are arriving at Cujos Keyhole. It does seem that at the point that we were here, there was kind of some like construction or maintenance work going on. That's why there were all these signs and barricades up.
We just took an e-trike from one end of the island to the other, basically. We're now walking towards the keyhole. Apparently, this part of the island is a bit more like it looks resorty, and so the trikes here aren't as available. They're more for land tours, which isn't what we're doing. We were kind of doing like our own modified land tour. Moving on, we're able to talk to our trike driver, and he was like, oh, okay, I'll take you to these specific spots that you're thinking of, and told us his price of 900 pesos, which is totally fine because the land tours that we were looking at were pretty expensive. We were each going to pay 51 USD each, which seemed like a lot for the specific places that we wanted to see. This was about as close as we could get to the keyhole because they had barricaded it up to a certain distance. We're not sure what kind of work was being done, but at least we could see this much. It was a really cool rock formation.
Part of what makes Boracay so special is that there's just interesting formations that a lot of the land and rocks take on, which include here at Cujos Keyhole. So it's not only the beaches that are impressive, but also just the scenery and the landscape. After Cujos Keyhole, we requested the driver take us to Ilig-iligan Beach, which is a beach actually on the east side of the island, so the waters were expected to be a bit more calm.
And again, the only reason we were able to get that ride was because he had offered to wait for us. We felt very fortunate and lucky.
And even though there were a bunch of trikes posted up there, it does seem like those ones were private already.
Once we arrived to the beach, we could tell, yeah, the water was much calmer. There were a lot of people swimming. There were see-through kayaks and normal kayaks in the water and islet formations out in the distance.
Because of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I always think that these islets look like the giant sea lion turtles.
We also saw a lot of boats docked onto the beach. They looked to be boat tours themselves, maybe for snorkeling or just island hopping even. We're not entirely sure, but we were there to witness some people get on and off the boats.
If you're a local or you know about what these boats were for, let us know in the comments because we're not entirely sure, because this was also not a port area. These seemed like activity boats. The beach itself also seemed kind of more like a locals beach because it seemed that people were very comfortable with each other.
It was a really nice vibe. And relative to the beaches we had seen so far, there were a lot of people there.
Our favorite part about ilig-iligan beach were the little animals who came to hang out with us. In our travels, we are kind of used to seeing stray animals out and about, but not until Boracay have we seen stray animals at the beach. They are so chill, and it also seems like they themselves kind of just want to enjoy the beach. They seem very happy too.
They felt so magical. They were so beautiful. We met a cat and a dog, and they were so chill and so friendly. They had this aura about them that they were full of love.
It almost felt like they were kind of guardians of the beach or something.
Ooh, I like that.
We stayed here quite a bit because of them especially.
This was just some of the footage we got, but we truly spent a lot of time with these two because they were just so precious. Maybe they're like spiritual ambassadors of the island. Again, the driver was waiting for us and we were able to get back on and make our way back down south to Bulabog Beach.
At this point, we are starting to head back into the busier part of the island. Bulabog Beach is on the eastern side of the island, and we feel like it's the east side's version of White Beach because it was pretty busy and it seemed there were more tourists there as well.
Oh my god. Stretchy stretch, yes, stretchy stretch.
This beach also had one of 2 I Love Boracay signs, so if you're curious about getting a photo there, you can find one of them here. The beach was also beautiful. You can see the water is much calmer because we are here on the off season, and there were a bunch of buildings out in the distance. We feel like the views there are probably insane, and this island truly feels like paradise, so anyone who lives here, they probably feel really calm and blissed out. There was a leaning palm tree. That's one of the things marked on Google Maps. You can take a photo there if you like. And as usual, there were some stray animals there too, but again, very friendly, very calm.
We do think you might have to pay to take a photo at the palm tree because it seems that it's quite the attraction.
Alright, and we are here at Bulabog Beach because this will be the end of our trike ride. Our trike rider was very nice and was able to drop us off kind of at each spot.
We paid 900 pesos to go basically from one end of the island to a couple spots like Keyhole and Ilig-iligan Beach. He took us from Diniwid Beach to Keyhole, Cujos Keyhole, and then ilig-iligan Beach, and then all the way back here to Bulabog.
What's funny is that at the beaches here there are like dogs and cats, so it's fun seeing little pets running around. Well, we're not really sure if they're people's pets, but like they are there at the beach and they're so sweet. Came up to us and just kind of hung out with us. Oh, so cute.
That's been very nice. The animals, they seem even chiller here. Maybe that's partly because of the environment. Maybe we were projecting, but it is very relaxing.
Yeah, it seems that there's options here to get around. They do have the hop on, hop off class, but it follows a very specific route. And I think it's like if you're already at the stop, you have to kind of flag them down, is my understanding. Otherwise, at mostly travel places, you'll find a trike. Usually they're kind of there. And sometimes if they don't look like they're driving around, there's probably trike drivers kind of sitting, waiting to see if people need trikes, and then they'll come escort you to theirs. A lot of them do seem to wear kind of like a trike shirt, more or less kind of like a shirt that identifies that they are drivers.
That was one of our concerns when we started this journey, that would we be able to find trikes in certain spots? And yes, I mean, you don't have to walk that far, you will find one. And it was very nice that they're all electric here because there's no exhaust smell and they're quieter. Makes for a smoother, easier ride.
I mean, it is still island road, so it's going to be kind of bumpy and jumpy, but at least, yes, having no exhaust and it is not very loud, it helps reduce the discomfort that can sometimes happen during trike rides, just because, you know, bumpy and jumpy roads are bumpy and jumpy.
Yeah, there are little handrails to hold on if you need that. Super interesting talking to our driver, finding out that the winds change based on the season, and that makes White Beach and Bulabog Beach kind of like the alternating beaches in terms of waviness.
Yeah, it's kind of like the island is the east side and then the west side, and I guess the winds change depending on what season or what, I guess, climate is going on. Right now, because Bulabog is on the east side of the island, it's very calm here. Like, you don't really hear the waves much other than just them lapping on the shores, but on the west side where White Beach is, you almost can't hear yourself because the waves are very strong on that side. Still very beautiful, but very strong. It can alternate too, where it's like, oh, if White Beach is calm, then maybe Bulabog is a little bit wavier.
We also found out that there is a proposed project for a bridge, and that might be built
in the next 2 years or so. We're not really sure because this is the first time we've heard about it, but you did mention that you saw people at the port with saying no to the bridge.
Yeah, I think it's it might be a complicated issue because the bridge, sure, yeah, would mean like a direct route into the island from Katiklan, but it would put a lot of boat people out of work, is what our trike driver told us, and it would just make working situations a bit more difficult for the locals who live on Boracay. So it's a complicated issue that we were made aware of recently, and we really loved the ferry experience, and we've enjoyed the accessibility that the trikes are on this island. We're happy that people are employed, so we just hope that people can still maintain their livelihoods, the locals who live here on the island.
Yeah.
This day was kind of inspired from land tours that we saw online and kind of, you know, the flyers that we saw around town, but we kind of just wanted to do a DIY version and just basically catch a trike in between the stops that we wanted to go to. So in a way, we got to see what we wanted to see and also managed to get around the island, both west, north, and east.
It felt like our own DIY journey. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you liked any part of this video. What was the most interesting part that you saw? Because we saw a lot of the island today. Leave us a like and then subscribe if you want to see more videos. We're still on Boracay for a bit and we have more to show you.
All right, see you in the next video.